everybody. We'll let Coach give an opening statement, and he'll take your questions.
Yeah, going into the scrimmage, really the only person besides Dre Greenlaw, obviously, we were going to hold out Brito, a corner that had an ACL in the fall. He's probably right on the verge. Might give him another week of practice before we throw him into a live scrimmage. But coming out of the scrimmage, stayed pretty healthy. Only two guys that I'm aware of, Alexi Baptiste early on, had something with a foot. Haven't got a clarification on that yet, but I don't think it was too serious. But we'll let you know next week. And then Giovanni actually just looked like he got I think he got rolled up on, got an ankle sprain there. So came out of it pretty healthy, very physical. We really had a physical week. I told our guys Thursday we went half pack and probably had one of our most physical practices of the fall or of the spring. Just guys are getting after it, a lot of intensity. I would say. I should say I thought they carried that out there today. Had the officials call it close. Good positive thing. They didn't have many issues in that regards. I asked the officials to call it pretty tight. So we'll look at the film and see where that goes. We actually probably defensively really limited. We didn't have one defensive pressure out there. I wanted those guys to play our base defense. I wanted them to play our base front and our base coverage. So they really weren't doing a lot, which. Obviously hamstrings them a little bit, but I thought they handled that well, responded well. Obviously, a couple big plays that we got to get cleaned up on support, but we got guys in different positions than they've been, and especially up front, playing the technique that we're asking them to play, just get a little bit used to. Offensively, I thought our ones especially did some really good things. We ran the ball really with all three, ones, twos, and threes pretty well. I knew Raleigh and Devois do good, but I was really excited to see Malik and J-Day get out there and do those things. The quarterbacks, obviously, outside of Austin, need to continue to improve on making decisions, accuracy, throwing the football. But they both have had a pretty good spring to this point. Ty and Cole, the rest of the guys are a little bit behind them. So wide receivers, I thought, caught the ball pretty well today. I know there was, I think TJ had two. He's still in a kind of, bless you, kind of a transition, I think, from running back to being able to catch the ball on the move in traffic. This was his first real live look at wide receiver since he'd been in high school. So some positives in that regards. And overall, I thought Blake Johnson to start practice punted the ball pretty well. And Cole Hedlund was perfect again on field goals. So I'm making some good strides there. We'll start to work some KOC and KOR in the upcoming weeks. But overall, through practice number 6, excited where they're at and where they're going. Opening up for some two guys that I don't know how close you're paying. Two guys in particular. Cam Colbert, who's a really good walk-on for us, a guy that's done a lot of really good things for us. Played as a redshirt freshman, sophomore after he redshirted as a true freshman out of Pulaski. He's going to actually move on and look at options at maybe FCS or Division III or Division II level. Working with him, a great kid, phenomenal. But obviously everybody can't play here, so getting an opportunity to go on and move on. And Luke Rossi, another young man that has done some good things in our program, non-scholarship player, tremendous kid, re-aggravated a hamstring, and that's been his 3rd or 4th issue with his hammy, so he's actually going to hang it up. Stay in school here, may be able to talk him into coming back with us as a student coach. He's a tremendous kid and wants to get into coaching in some type down the road. So we'll work with those two kids moving forward. Other than that, open it up.
Ron, I think Raleigh had around 20 carries today.
Did he?
Kind of what you were thinking.
Yeah, I wanted him and Devois to take the load with the ones, and I wanted Malik and J-Day. It's really the first time in a long time J-Day's been cleared 100% for a live scrimmage situation. So I wanted those guys to get a good look as well. I think Raleigh, him and Devois got a nice competition going, and the more that we could get Raleigh to do some cuts that we want to improve upon from the fall. I think there were some specific plays that Dan wanted to run with him in there, and he did a pretty good job.
A couple of things. You moved Caps up with the first group.
Yeah, really, him and Bijan had kind of rotated after last Saturday's practice. Caps, I go back to the Star City days being a great baseball player. He's really quick with his hands, sudden, and that's helped him at that position. We actually then took a look at Bijan as well as a defensive end. I'm sure you saw him out there lined out at the end as well. So we're really just trying to find a mix of the best 3 to get on the field at any given time, and then the next best 3 and so forth. I don't. I know Bijan caught it. Kind of nice play by Bijan. Light feet, grabbed it at left end. That probably was. I don't know who it would have been.
What about you have Ramirez at backup tackle instead of Clinton?
Well, Paul's been here, going back to his junior college when he came in and has played both guard. He played tackle in college or at junior college. So he'd actually been playing really well. So, again, we just want to try to get our best five, then our next best five. Obviously, with Frank out, we're not being in there. We brought Zach up, which that kind of moves some guys inside and outside. But Paul's been having a nice spring. He's competing. He understands it a little bit better, a better understanding of what we're asking him to do. So, and Shane, he's a true freshman going out there. I couldn't be more happy with those three freshmen that came in January where they're at right now.
Just in general, do you feel the offensive line is pretty improved?
You know what, Nate? I think I was standing back there, Tritola, those two guys standing behind me are pretty good players, Tritola and Swanson, and I just kind of asked them their opinion, and they just, because they've been watching some of the practices, and they just feel, obviously, that as a group, that starting five, especially when Frank's in there, those guys are playing at a pretty high level. Brian's had a nice spring. We need to keep pressing him and keep pushing him. And of course, Colton Jackson, who started at right tackle for us a year ago, moving him to left, and he's had a really good winter and a really good spring. We got to press him on pass pro and consistency and toughness. But I like the way that group's coming along.
Are you sensing any separation between Ty and Cole at this point in that practice?
No, I wish they would, but it's also good that there isn't. They both do some good things and then do some things that aren't so good. And I do think Ty's playing as well as he's played since he's been here. Today wasn't his best day, but he was still pretty good in some things. His command and presence and his composure are always really good. Cole tries to do a lot of things. They're kind of two different personalities. Cole, thinks he's, Favre, Aikman, and who else all involved, and then Ty's just trying to be Ty Story. So kind of two different guys that personality-wise, but we're trying to get the same results on the field.
Does it surprise you to see a quarterback who's 6'7" have a pass swatted?
Blot down? No, not if you short arm delivery or again does some really good things. We just got to make sure he uses his height.
Brad, I don't think he meant it was Corey Hernandez.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Corey. Last Saturday was just covering a go route, tweaked his hammy a little bit. We thought he might be able, but he'll hopefully be back with us next week. It had a really good winter and a really good fall or spring up till then.
Looks like when Jordan Jones can shake free, he's
Yeah, and Jordan. Here's Jordan. Jordan he's tremendously talented, extremely intelligent, and what we got to do is convince Jordan Jones that he can be good. Mike's doing a great job with those wideouts. I thought, obviously got a lot of youth in the room, a lot of inexperience, and you can see Brandon Martin's got some things. Jonathan Nance made a nice catch. They've got talent. Now we just got to keep bringing them along. And Jordan Jones, if Jordan Jones wants to be a really good player, he can be that. He's long, he's athletic, he's got speed. He can definitely catch the ball, and he's more than smart enough. I'm sorry, but Dijon or Bijan? Dijon, Scuda? Yeah, I go Scuda just because I don't want to screw that up as well. So, yeah, Dijon Harris has been very impressive. Played him a year ago with the hopes that this year would be more of a calming time for him, and that's exactly what's happened. He's kind of had to take a leadership role out there without Dre out there. I think he's doing some good things now, but he just keeps getting better every day. He's very serious. What I love about him, and it's the same thing I saw in high school film, he's a very playmaker type oriented player. He makes the plays, but then he also makes a couple extra plays that are special. He's breaking on a ball here. I think there was 2 plays in a row where he made a tackle and made a nice pass breakup. He just I think is only going to get better. And then you probably didn't see Vernon Hargraves wasn't out there today as well. Vernon lost his brother earlier in the week, so was at a funeral. So those guys, I think, really responded well today and did some good things as we go.
Can you see Josh Harris and Grant Morgan contributing special teams?
Josh has got great motor and is so he's got great savvy. He's got to be able to. He's a little bit limited, in his height, but he uses that as an advantage. He wears it on his sleeve. But yeah, he could be he was a good player for us last year on certain phases. I think we got to be very, very aware of him. And then I think Grant Morgan, even a year ago, my defensive coaches came to me after probably the second week and said, "Coach, if you want to play Grant on special teams, you probably could. He'd probably be able to contribute." So he's slippery. He's smart. A very intriguing young man that I'm excited to see him get out there.
Howard Fisher looked like he was using
Yeah. Yeah, Kyrie's been impressive. One thing you're not going to have to worry about, Kyrie will be physical. He's made probably 2 of the bigger hits in spring ball. Enjoys contact, enjoys to talk a little as well. So he's, for a true freshman coming in January, his upside. I grabbed him the day before. I love his contact. I need him to be a little more disciplined where we're asking him to go. And then anytime he plays with long arms, he's got good length. And when he plays with his hands out in front of him, he's a very effective player. When he plays like Tyrannosaurus Rex, they grab into him. So we got to get him to extend his arms.
I guess Nate Dalton was at corner just because he had some injuries.
No, we switched Nate in the corner. Even going back to last year in bowl prep, I think we did that, and then he's really excelled. I thought he's had a good spring. He's been physical. I don't know if a play came his way today, but I just think he's done a lot of things away from the game too. We kind of had some heart-to-heart moments in December about where he needed to go and how he needed to get there. He's kind of cleaned himself up a little bit and really excited where he's going.
The yards after contacts, what do you want to see from the running backs, but does it concern you a little bit from the defensive standpoint, or is it just early?
Well, I think 2 things. Anytime you go 1s, 2s, 2, you want the best competition. So if one has success, the other is obviously not going to in certain regards. But I think Raleigh and Dev are 2 of the better backs in the SEC, hopefully. Obviously, Raleigh's a returning leading rusher, and Dev was a very gifted player. I think this is our first tackle session of the spring. I would not allow our guys to go low. You saw, obviously, one guy went low early, and I got all over him. I just don't want to put our guys at risk. So that really puts our defensive guys at a disadvantage. I know when Malik got a shot on Reed Miller there, that really pissed Reed off just because he knows he would have went low and got him down. So it's one of those things that we have to do it for safety-wise, but it really puts you at a disadvantage defensively for something like that.
I had to do like 130 or so plays.
Yeah.
A little bit deeper, longer scrimmage than maybe you do early.
Yeah, my goal today, so we had 32 scripted plays. Before the half, we had 12 with the ones, because it's going to be mirrored. We had 12 first down plays, 12 third and short, and then we had 8 in the red zone to give us 32 with the ones and twos, and then there were 18 plays scripted with the threes. And then I wanted to come back and get over 45 with the ones and twos after the half, moving the ball, and we got 52 with the ones and 52 with the twos, and then the rest were all threes. So it just kind of happened to work out that way. But I wanted to get somewhere around that, what you could say might be, 2/3, 3/4 of a game. He did good. I kept him in there with the twos. He knows he's a guy that'll probably roll with the ones during practice. Does some really good things to get him back out there, just emotionally and mentally. To have him talking out there is a good thing, and I'm sure it was good for him to get back on the field. This week we'll put in more third down stuff and some packages that involve him, and then we'll start to put in our pressure package defensively, which will involve him as well.
I was going to ask you, what's on tap for next week?
Yeah.
Next Saturday scrimmage, what do you see?
Yeah, so the only area of the field that we haven't worked yet is low red zone and goal line. We worked 2-minute today, as you saw out there, and then worked high red zone. But we'll now defensively begin to bring pressure, so we'll have blitz pickup on the flip side of it offensively and pressures defensively. And then the other big areas that obviously we got to explore is 4-minute O, and then we'll continue to modify our red zone goal line package.
Was it weird to walk in there without the Broyles sitting
Yeah.
there as instruction for you?
I specifically had not been in there. I talked to our administration. I was a little worried about the sideline space of our practice fields for a full scrimmage, knowing we'd have people out there. So Jeff and administration okayed it for us to go in there, and they did obviously the little carpentry work over there on the left-hand side. But it was cool to see the progress. Know they got a long way to go, and I know our development crew's been working on the suites and everything down there. But that's been a huge recruiting tool for us as well.
Coach, how has McTelvin progressed in this transition from 4-3 to 3-4?
Sosa's an active guy. He's kind of a quick twitch guy. So I think to get him to play hands and feet and move and do the things we're asking him to do has been a little bit of a transition, but a good one. I think he understands it. He's got a good rapport going with his new defensive line coach, which I think is essential. He's very good in certain things. We need to keep bringing his maturity and some things that can happen on the field and off the field. But a talented player, and the sky's the limit for him.
There was saying, whenever he was talking last week, that Robinson's got more lead in his pencil, adding about 15, 16 pounds. Now that you guys have been in bad a few times, what have you seen
Kurt Anderson talking about Jake Rawson? Okay. Yeah, Jake's body has changed. He's definitely a different player than he was when he came here from Texas. He's, I think he is about 15 pounds heavier. I don't know how many his pencil or anything pertains, but stay out of that conversation. I know. I don't think we should quote Kurt Anderson very often, I think Jake has begun to understand what we asked linemen to do here. He's played O-line, you know, obviously his life, but what we do here is different. What we do here is develop guys to play good football and move on to the next opportunity that comes their way. He began to understand that a little bit better, I think, during the fall. He didn't get a lot of reps towards that second half, but understood what he needed to do. And at right guard, I think he's done a nice job. Again, he's an ambidextrous guy. He can play right, left. He can play a little bit of center for us. I'm not too sure he couldn't help us out of tackle, again, if he needed. But we wanted to give him a chance, you know, to prove his own at that right guard spot, and he's done pretty well.
Was Frank bugging you during the scrimmage?
Well, he was not happy that so, you know, I really struggled with that one. When we were doing the junior evals and when he agreed to stay, I eventually told him we were going to rep him during the spring, maybe 20, 30 reps, and you know, just where he's at and the way he's playing, you know, and you guys obviously have seen me hold out running backs or different players at positions, you know, Hunter Henry back when he was here, guys that are at that level where I don't know how much better it's kind of the risk reward. I mean, he could have played every rep today and gotten a little bit better, but the risk of what could be the byproduct of something negative to me isn't worth it. Reached out to my mentor, Coach Alvarez, just talked about, you know, different guys in the past that he's had. You know, I reached out to a couple other coaches that have had linemen in that position, and him and Jay Red, you know, Jay Red really had a nice week this week towards the end and was catching the ball really well. So those would be two guys that jump out to me that as we move forward, you know, could continue to limit a little bit and see where it goes.
What have you thought of Michael Taylor this spring?
You know, we've seen him in practice, but today was the first live scrimmage time because he got here late last fall, you know, and we couldn't get him in. So I've been impressed with him down scout team. I've been impressed with him in the drills, but this is the first tackle football he's played. I think he has to get used to setting that edge, playing with his hands. I saw him make a play into the boundary. I'm sure you guys saw that one that kind of strung out. He's very athletic. He's very tough. He knocked Devois pretty hard on Thursday's practice, who almost knocked into our quarterback. So I know his aggression is good, and I tell you, Chad's done a nice job with those outside guys. So it's just continued reps, but I'm pleased where he's at.
Yeah, he listed as a junior. Has he not got 3 years?
Well, he had 3 years coming in, and they denied his eligibility last fall. So we've got a waiver and appeal going in. So he has 2 years for sure, and we're going to, you know, absolutely cross our fingers and hope and try to give him a third as well.
Yeah, obviously Frank's entrenched at center, but I just think Ryder's
You know what? Zach's, again, continued to impress me. Now it's obviously going into his third year. He's so intelligent. You know, he's a smart player. He knows, obviously, the strengths that he has, but also the weaknesses he may possess. But I think that you would feel good about what Zach could bring us, you know, and then obviously I think he can also play guard for us. He looked really good this week at guard, and again, is a real vocal kid. I think people kind of, Frank's obviously a leader in that group, but I think Zach does a lot of really good things with those younger players especially.
Brad, you mentioned that, you know, for Sosa and then for Carl, that's a different technique.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you ask him to do that is so different? It's
Well, if we're not
transition.
moving, you know, then those three defensive linemen are, at times, you know, eat up some old linemen and allow the backers to run, you know, in a sense. Not really different than a 4-3, just a little bit different concept, which is one of the positives of that scheme, is to make all the linemen secure, you know, those three guys interiorly before they can go up to the next level. So it kind of one hand washes the other. Then at times when we're moving them, that's their changeup, and I think that's where Sosa could really excel, is when we start moving him and allows. No, we haven't moved him very much. We did in practice Thursday. Didn't do much of that at all out there today. So I think next Saturday could be a different looking performance, especially up front.
Yeah, and that last
That's
part,
the one.
where Bijan got the pick was nose guard or they were in.
Who's that?
Bijan.
I wish I could tell you.
Well, what-
I'll call you later today after I grade the film.
What do you think that play athletically? And
On Bijan's play?
Have you guys had him whistle it? How far do you think he would have got?
Well, he's got a severe drop off the back end zone. I'd hate to see Bijan falling 20 feet into the pit over there. But you know, Bijan, when he's done a really nice, I tell you two things. During the out of season, he pulled his hammy about 4 weeks maybe left in winter conditioning, and he was unbelievable in the weight room, great with his diet. Herbs and his crew and our nutrition people had leaned him up. He's lost weight, looked good, had a really good 5 practices. Last Saturday wasn't great, but came back and responded really well this week. And I think the thing about him is he could probably, one of those guys could play inside and outside. The thing I like about him outside is he's got that size. You know, he's got a 320, 330-pound frame that is we just don't have a lot of that on the outside right now.
Brett, you've had good tight ends
Mm-hmm.
for a long time. What's your feeling of where you are tight
Yeah.
end line right now?
Great question. You know, Austin is probably as good a blocking tight end as I've had here, and really before I came here. He's really, Austin Cantrell is a very special player that, you know, they're talking about number 15 being the first-round draft pick, you know, for A&M. Go and watch that A&M film. I mean, 44 has his way, you know, and what we have to do with him is, I got on him on that third down pass. You know, he had one that I wanted him to pull in, and that's the part of his game he's got to come along. I keep telling our guys, you know, we're all Superman. We all, you know, run. He hears kryptonite, he's going the other way. All of us as men, we tend to stay away from our weaknesses. In reality, that's when you can gain your most ground, is when you attack the things you don't do well. So he's got to become a little bit better in the passing game, but I do think C.J. O'Grady has made nice strides. Didn't really see it out there today, but he's a guy that we really feel can step into that. I will give Will Gregg a lot of credit. I'm very proud of Will. He's kind of had a huge spike in maturity, accountability. I need him to be better in the details of what we're asking him to do. Jamario obviously can catch the ball as well as anybody and look as good in pads, but unless he doesn't learn his assignments, that's his limiting factor. And then, you know, one of the guys that we're excited to get in here and you know, obviously be a part of us is our junior college player that will join us in June.
Thanks, everybody. If you're going to
Thank you.
Barnhill, go around the back and go in the door closest to the media room. Or Mary Lynn will let you guys in.